Hey, Dean.
Good day.
How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. That is a purple backdrop.
Yep, that is my Amherst College mammoth.
I'm always amazed that Amherst College has purple as a color. It just seems inconsistent with
Well, and that's
personalities.
been from the earliest days. The mammoth is new, but the
Yeah,
purple has been forever.
interesting. You think it has to do with like royal colors or some?
Probably knowing the history of that place.
Yeah, interesting. And I liked your little I don't. It's not an emoji, whatever the thing is.
Oh
Your
yeah, that's Wally.
Oh, it
Uh,
is. Okay.
yeah, that's honestly, I think that's my favorite film of all time,
Wow.
for its layered approach to working with kids and adults. And also, it's kind of a rough commentary for us on the ECAC to consider.
I should watch it again, definitely then.
Hi, Gail. Hey, Nate.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Well,
Good.
how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Gal? You're on mute. You're muted.
Fine and dandy, thank you.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it. We'll give we'll give Greg a moment or two and see if he pops on. And it's a very white shirt you got there, Nate.
Yeah, it's got stripes. Not totally boring. More of a
Yeah.
cream, more creamy.
A soft white. Oh,
Yeah.
Frank's here. Oh, how cool. That's exciting. Hey, Frank. I just sent you an email so you can answer it in person. You're
You're
muted.
I can say that because I was just responded with, told the same.
I'll have to look it up now. It should be easy for you to answer. But I was like, oh, I forgot to ask yesterday again. So, and well, let me call us to order, and then I'll ask my first question. So I'll call us to order at 7:01. And my first question is, do we know who's doing minutes tonight
I
in
think it's my
order?
turn.
It
I'm
is. Cool.
I'm prepared.
So, cool. Thank you. So now that we've got Dean in the mix, I thought I'd just take a moment and update our. So, Nate, you did it last time, right? Okay. So we got Nate, and then we got Gail, and then we'll assume Greg will do it, and then we'll assume Dean will do it. So, Dean, I don't know if we've given sort of talked about. Oh, here he is. Cool. We haven't talked about minute taking. Have we? Last time, did we?
Not, I don't think so.
Okay. So, what's ended up happening is, um, since I've run the meeting, it's easier not to take the minutes. So I appreciate everyone doing it in my stead. But we sort of have a rotation. So Nate did it last time. Gail will do this time. Greg will do it next time. And then you like whenever that one after Greg is, you can do it. And I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It shouldn't be a heavy lift. But as you see the minutes come out, it should be able to model for you. And there's stuff online, but essentially the two things to note of taking minutes. One is documenting the meeting so that a reasonable person would understand what happened. So it's not a transcript, it's sort of just capturing the themes. And then if we take action, so we vote on it, then documenting what the motion and the second was and what the votes were. Um, those are sort of the critical things. Did I miss anything, Gail?
No, no, that it has to be by name,
Yeah, yeah,
not just unanimous.
right. Cool. So we are in. I'll do the usual. Any public comment? Frank, you got any public comment? Cool. Um, so I don't know if this is gonna be a particularly long meeting, but we got a whole bunch of updates. The first one is Greg. The second one, fortunately, is Frank, since he's here. And then Frank, is there something you wanted, did you want to like check out what's going on? Did you have something you want to share with us?
I just wanted, I saw the lighting, and so I was wondering what you were saying about the lighting of the school, so that's why I signed on.
I'm so glad you did. That was perfect. Okay, well, we will get you. Actually, how about if we switch it so that you can, if you want to bail on us afterwards, you can.
Okay.
What's going on at the school lighting? Because I've totally been bad about asking.
So I activated the timer for the parking lot, and it goes on at 5 and goes off at 10. And the first night I did it, Eric Stalker, who never stays up late, came back from somewhere, and he said, I actually was there at 10:30 and said, wow, it's dark. So that worked out. I found out that the other two, there's 3 lights that are still on. And I found the timers on them recently. So I have to put the screw things on. They decided to take the screw things off so they'd be on 24/7. So as soon as maybe tomorrow, the next day, I'll put the two the lights on the east side where we went in the other day. There's 2 lights that are permanently on day and night, and the front door. I'll change those the next day. And that's Carl. So those will go off, and then the next day it's not raining. I'm going to try to put the lumens down on the rest of the lights there. But historically, I found out, talking to several people, is that the perimeter lights went off with all the other lights. But I was going to talk to Chief Pelletier, but he's in Spain. So when he gets back from vacation, I will ask him, because he said he wanted them at one point, and I'd like to know from him, if he knows, because the school did not, what type of security camera systems they have. Because if they have nighttime infrared and all that other stuff, they probably don't need the perimeter lights, because it's activated and they'll know what's going on around the school. I know there's motion sensors there, and I think I told you this the other day, Michael. I'll tell the committee that I went there late one night on a Sunday to take pictures of the lighting, and the principal got a text from the security company that some guy with a really long beard was walking around the computer, or walking around the school. So they have the capabilities. If we don't need to do the lights, it'd be really good to have everything turn up at, let's say, 10. The night custodian leaves at 9:30, so 10 o'clock would be a good time for that.
Yeah. So just on that one, Frank, I might have reported this out. We had there was a meeting that was supposed to be a bunch of us a few months ago, and then it just ended up being the chief and me talking. And what he told me at that point was he does not care about having lights on the driveway and the perimeters. He just cares about having some kind of motion detection or something around the building, so if people are approaching. And he actually said that he likes things that are not on all the time, because then if someone approaches and it triggers some kind of reaction, it's more of a deterrent. So you should talk to him directly, but that's basically, I think he's good with it.
Yeah, I don't know what the specs on the system when they put the new security cameras onto the school. The buildings committee was not invited on that. So
okay. And I have just a question, so I can get my head around this. So the lights that you now have on a timer, are those the ones on the pole, or are those the ones on the?
Yep.
Okay. And
they also have photo cells on them. Just for the school got a energy grant. I forget what it was called. And the buildings committee wasn't involved, so the school went ahead and someone went ahead and updated all the lights, and we didn't do dark. We would have done something different on the perimeter lights and the other lights, but someone decided that it was easier just to take all the buttons off and let them go 24/7 because they had photocells. So, but historically, they all went off at a certain time, and if you look at the indentations on the dial, they all went off about 10 o'clock.
Yeah. And
So
all the poles are one circuit?
the poles in the parking lot are one circuit, the perimeter is one circuit on one side, and the boiler room side is another circuit. And the front door has its own circuit. Go ahead, Gail.
Frank, have you ever seen the two highway lights on the driveway, the street lights lit?
At the street, no. Are they at the street?
They're on the driveway coming in off of West Pelham.
If they're part of if they're the same shape and they were updated,
No.
I'll go.
They're town street lights. They're National
Oh.
Grid street lights. But I have never seen them on. I live sort of across the street.
Oh, okay.
Back and forth there at nighttime frequently, and I have never seen them on. I wondered if you had ever seen them on.
I don't remember. I do remember going in to take pictures because I've got one before and after when I changed the perimeter lights to a lower lumen, so they look like 30 lumens instead of 50. So it'll be like sunset, that nice glow. But I do not remember if those were on. And I'll look at those again. But you're talking about the telephone pole light.
Well, they're the stand-up, lean-over street lights. They're not on the telephone pole.
Okay.
I-
Then I'll look into that.
Yeah.
I will chime in just as the author of the sign bylaw, I mean, the lighting bylaw from a few years ago.
Yep.
One of the things that the planning board put in there intentionally, like, if you go down to Leverett nowadays, there's like these lights along the road that I think they've been in for about a year and a half or 2 years. Like at the very bottom, before you get to the bottom of the S curves, there's one, and then there's another one. But one of the things in the lighting bylaw is if we don't need lights for safety, then we shouldn't have them on because someone lives across the street from them. Like they just, they got the bad lottery cards. So why penalize them if we don't have to? So if we don't need them for safety, Gail, I think let's just keep them off, right?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
But
You were
there's-
saying-
But they're National Grid street lights, and I don't know what kind of arrangements we made. I'm in the midst of trying to find out from National Grid where the other 11 street lights in Shutesbury are. They claim there are 4 on Leverett Road. I can find only 2.
well,
And they're stonewalling me. So I turned it over to town admin today. It said, they're not giving me any. Information could not be released for safety reasons. They're sitting out there in broad daylight. Tell us where are we paying for lights that are not really there?
That's right. We pay for those. That's true.
That's it. Street lights is a separate National Grid account line.
Do we pay for them whether they're on or off? Just that they exist?
That's another question.
Yep.
On what basis are we billed? Who knows? So, I'm digging.
Cool. Thank you. So, well, Frank, thank you for all this, both the update and the work, because I think it's a huge improvement. And I don't know if it sounds like you don't need our help, but if there's anything we can do to assist you,
I appreciate that, Michael, and you all. Yesterday's meeting, and I forget the woman's name from Shine.
Catherine.
When she asked me to open that, she wanted to see what that was. Then I found that side timer. I was like, oh, there it is. Why are those lights on 24/7 during the day? Diane Jacoby told me that there's many lights on, and I didn't realize that I saw the front door timer and I thought it was hooked up. Now I realize it's not, it's always on. And the 2 side lights on the side of the building are there. By the way, the only thing that I have to figure out is the flagpole light. And Matt told me that someone complained he wasn't taking the flag in every night. So he said that we just put a light on it, and they put like a 1500 halogen watt light on it facing all the neighbors. And I don't know if there's no switch that's not hooked up to anything. It's there's a photo cell on it. But there's no timer or anything else. So I don't know if I'm going to glue a welder's mask plate on there and make it very dark. If it's going to be on 20, I have to figure out or call an electrician to have a timer put on it, because I don't know what the rule is on a flag. If it has to be on during the night, if they don't take it down, then we're going to make it very dim. And I would have put one of those photocell ones that just go straight down.
Down facing, yeah.
Yeah, down facing. So I might talk to Patoric Electric and ask him to come look at it and see what he can do. Or we just do it on our side, and you can get them online, the down facing photo ones, and it's not a very tall flagpole, and then we can turn that one off. So it would be nicer to have it down, because right now it faces up at all the neighbors.
Yeah, that's also consistent with the lighting bylaw.
Yeah.
Having down facing if you can.
Yeah.
And the birds and the flora.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Go have
Okay.
a good rest of the night.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, Greg, thank you for stepping back. So, you are up in terms of Stormwater Committee. Did you actually guys meet?
We did, yeah. So we had the meeting with the GZA folks to discuss their findings related to the study around Lake Wyola. That was that meeting was focused entirely on that study. So it was mostly GZA's meeting. I think they either sent out a recording, or there's a slide deck that they sent us, but it was just reviewing their methodology and the sites that they picked. 10 sites rated from most critical to least critical, with 3 categories, and they were like, these are the ones that we think you should let us develop a full action plan for. That meeting went really well. We took all that information in and then said, okay, well, we'll get back to you soon. The next week we convened another meeting just to discuss those findings, and reorganized a few things. There were a couple of areas that the committee recognized were more important than the GZA folks were thought, because I think the main one was the road that goes up to the boat dock. I'm blanking on the name, but I'm sure that the town people would recognize it immediately. So that was prioritized, and so then we came up with an action plan for maybe trying to see if GZA would write 11 proposals instead of the 10 that they're contracted for, just to be nice. But if not, we had a fallback plan. Jennifer Wallace was going to send that proposal to GZA. We haven't heard back, because I think we're going to discuss that at our next meeting, which is scheduled. Where is it on the calendar? I'm just going to double check. Where are we? Maybe it's not on the calendar yet. I thought it was. August 4th, I wanted to say. That's when the select board meeting is. No, I can't see it. Did we actually select a date? We might have been. So I should just check now while I'm. August meets. We're gonna do Wednesday, August 12th is this next meeting of the Stormwater Committee. And that will actually be the full meeting, I think probably our first formal full meeting, because we haven't actually formally selected a chairperson or anything like that. So we're going to do that, and then that will be the opportunity for me to talk about a couple of the other ideas that I had cooking, particularly the culvert project that I want to see if we can get some resources or some help with, and get all the culverts in Shutesbury documented.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really culvert
Greg,
nerds.
what is GBA that you're referring to?
Oh, GZA, like zebra.
GCA, okay.
Yeah, I don't actually, let me see, what does it
That's
stand
the
for?
engineering firm or the,
That's the engineering
okay,
firm, yes.
Yeah.
that's enough. I just wanted some way
Okay.
to identify the
Yeah.
acronym.
At some previous select board meeting, Eric spelled out what it was because no one knew what GZA was. So they were just saying GZA, 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 and uh,
Yeah,
someone said, who are they? Um,
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the like the thing that they sent us.
I
It
think
it just it just says GZA.
that's sufficient. That's just, we'll identify them as the engineering firm that has been called to,
Yeah.
okay,
GZA Geo-Environmental Inc.
okay.
Yeah, so that they're doing you know ArcGIS and uh, um, what's the other tool? HydroCAD. So they used ArcGIS and HydroCAD to build a model of Lake Wyola's outfall areas, and they presented their findings. So yeah, I don't think we have anything quite that fancy for the culverts, but that's just going to be walking around and looking at them, I think.
but
But just to get
um,
them charted is a major step. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Was there discussion with them about like any of the 10 or 11 locations being, more at risk given climate change and flooding and stuff?
Well, that's what the model was discussing. So basically, they gave us a chart that showed the like peak outflow for. Do you guys know about how they rate storms, like the 50-year storm? Do you know what that means?
That it
Well,
happens every 5 years now.
yeah, the nodding. It doesn't mean that the storm only happens once every 50 years. It means that there's statistical likelihood of a storm happening like that is about once every 50 years. But those stats are also kind of, they're changing. So they gave us the peak outflows for 1, 2, 5, 10, 25, and 50-year storms. And I think also the 100-year storms. And they gave us the full graph of that. And that was just that again peak outflow, so the amount of water that would leave the lake, and spread sediment and need reinforcement on waterways and stuff like that. So that level, like the level of flow that you'd see in any of these regions, kind of determines how serious the next action plan would be. And this is just the we think we need to plan something here phase. So we're just saying we think you're correct, go plan something there. And that's once we get that second report from them, we'll have clearer ideas about what actions we can take and what further funding we can get from the state to help build new infrastructure or repair existing infrastructure.
Anyone else have questions? I got another one, but I want to create space. Anyone have thoughts?
What,
So
how was
go ahead, Dean.
how was Storm Irene categorized? Does anyone know in terms of the magnitude of that storm?
Storm Irene. I don't know.
Is that 2011? I'm not quite sure. Because I was living in the eastern part of the state, but I remember that a lot of roadways, culverts, and small bridges out here were hit pretty hard then.
There's a house in Shelburne Falls that flowed down the river. And yeah. But the thing I was going to say, Greg, which is sort of, it's exciting. I'd say maybe 3 years ago, the beginning of ECAC, whenever that was, we had a whole discussion about stormwater in relation to the municipal vulnerability preparedness grants. And what we wanted to do was we asked if we could get a report that inventoried all the culverts and then what the level of risk was, so that in a changing climate, we could figure out what culverts we wanted to repair to protect the roads. So I think we're backing into this with your work, which is really exciting. They just sort of gave us a flat no last time. So maybe in a year, we'll have enough information to start thinking about how the town can get money to be proactive. So, if a road's going to get wiped out, we can get ahead of that. And Leverett, the culvert work that Leverett did at the bottom of the S curves in the last year, was an MVP grant, and I think they got like almost $1 million for it.
Really?
So, yeah, it was a lot of money.
Wow.
There's precedent.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's great that you're doing this stuff, and there's still only 4 of you on stormwater, right, at this point?
There's a fifth. There is a fifth member. They found someone. It's Jennifer Wallace, myself, Robert Douglas, Stephen, I don't know his last name, and James Moore.
Sullivan.
Sullivan, Stephen
Oh, great.
Sullivan. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Wonderful. Cool. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I think I'm up next with solar projects with Colonial, and I've got 2 things. The work with MassDOT is going molasses slow. Though I can't remember if I shared this last meeting, but we had to schedule Mark Capadona from Colonial Power and I were supposed to meet with MassDOT. We ended up meeting with this guy Hader, who's on the MassDOT team, and no one else showed up because they were doing other things, and it was clear that like we were not prioritized. But we had a great conversation, which is really good. I don't think we're going to have an official inventory of what MassDOT's assets are until like sometime in the first quarter of 2027 at earliest. And then if it were me, I would in parallel be figuring out the procurement processes they would use, but I think they're going to wait until they have the inventory. And then, I mean, they actually asked us what we thought. And I asked folks at the state and they were like, well, there's DCAM, which is the agency at the Commonwealth that does asset management. So I sort of like told them to do that, but I don't think they have a plan for procurement yet. We were pretty clear that, you know, when they get around to having a pilot, I mean, what our offer was is while you're figuring out the full inventory, if there's a really low hanging fruit that's obvious and you want to try out how this works, you know, Colonial would step in and, you know, bundle Shutesbury with other municipalities to get the power. So I think the guy we talked to is, you know, receptive to that, but officially they're just going slow. And I think I mentioned this way back when, but I mean, for reference, if you're like in Framingham, Natick, and somewhere out in the Berkshires, I forget, and you see arrays along the pike, those were put in 2013. And the guy who figured out the inventory and the procurement process has since left MassDOT. So they're rebuilding all their organizational, institutional knowledge about this stuff. It sort of boggles the mind given that the state's supposed to be prioritizing this stuff. Sort of nuts. The other thing I'll just mention, because with Colonial, is I think I might have mentioned this in an earlier meeting, but I started exploring the possibility of doing a non-lithium ion battery at the library, since we have a pad for the library and there's wiring, and I've talked to Marianne about it. And originally the idea was there's a company out in Oregon called ESS, which is short for Energy Storage Systems, and they do iron flow batteries. And so I talked to them a couple of times. Last time I talked to Paul Noddy, who's the representative there, it seemed like things were not going to go forward because they needed more space. They needed about an acre for what their minimum battery size is. But since then, we had a call, and then after this MassDOT call, Mark said, because I hooked Mark up with the ESS guy, and they talk separately. And so Mark said, the 3 of us should get together and talk about possibilities, because what's really great about working with Mark is he can bundle municipalities, you know, for supply and demand stuff. So we talked today, the 3 of us, and it turns out that the company ESS has shifted their technology. So they're not doing iron flow. They're still in development for that, but they're partnering with a company out of Malden that makes sodium ion batteries. So they're sodium based. They're about the same footprint as the lithium ion, so they're much smaller. We explored the idea of Shutesbury being a pilot, which they're really receptive to doing. And the sodium ion, there's a lot that's similar with lithium ion in terms of the footprint and the packaging. You know, the chemistry is totally different, but you know, and they're fire safe. They don't catch on fire. So we discussed just by being a pilot of putting one unit at the library. And the idea would be to peak shave. So they can design a battery that either is discharging for 4 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever we want. Mark indicated that 4 hours would be good, that based on their experience, like peak in New England is about 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And what blew me away, I forget the unit he was talking about, but he was talking about in the CCA structure, the energy costs for supplying energy. I might get this wrong, but he said it was like $30, you know, during off peak, and it could go up as high as $400 an hour during peak. So the idea was if we could do a demonstration of one unit at the library and it seemed to work, we could then bundle it and you can stack them and bundle them. So you could have like 4 or 5 at the library. And then he could pull in, you know, when to a new sale, whatever communities wanted to participate and peak shave. So it would basically save everyone who's in the CCA money off of their rates because we wouldn't be paying the higher costs at the peak. So he's really jazzed about that. And then I offered, you know, that if that model was successful, that he and I can go on a roadshow and talk to all the other municipalities in, you know, Franklin County or whatever. And it'd be great for him because he'd be able to sort of offer a more affordable product. It'd be great for all the municipalities participating in CCA because the residents would get cheaper. And with ESS as the company, they would get the foot in the door of Massachusetts and be able to demonstrate that this safer technology works. So we left it today. Mark was going to crunch some numbers to figure out, you know, what the pricing would be on his end. You know, I don't think he had any doubt that it would make economic sense to do it, but he wanted to be able to actually do his due diligence, figure out what those numbers are. So I might have more next time we meet, but I talked to Mary Ann this afternoon, and the one thing I have to find out, maybe you guys might actually know better than I, but you know, Mary Ann would like to have the battery for backup when there's, you know, a power outage so that, you know, it could be a location for respite for folks, which I think means it has to be behind the meter. And if you're peak shaving, I don't know if it's behind the meter or in front of the meter and how that would work. So I emailed the two of those guys earlier tonight just to see, but does anyone know? Because if we could do that, I mean, if we could provide that very localized backup for Mary Ann, she would be thrilled. And then when we're not doing it, to do the peak shaving, that would be just a benefit for everybody. So
Describe peak shaving, please.
I can, so go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say that I am going to be visiting Orange to spend some time with a gentleman named Bruce that I met at the microgrid meeting that we had. And he says that he assembled a system that does peak shaving and can support off hours grid redundancy in Orange. And he basically built that himself, and it's like very unique. So I need to go and see it in person. That hasn't happened yet, but hopefully I'll have some more answers about that kind of detail after I talk with him.
Yeah. And so Gail, peak shaving is if you think of the library or like all of our houses, right? If we're on national grid, we're using national grid electricity even through the CCA, we're basically pulling power down from the grid whenever we need power. And it's priced based on supply and demand. So if it's an off-peak time, the cost of the electricity you're getting from the grid is cheaper than when everyone wants it. So in the summer, people come home from work, they make dinner, they turn on their AC, it's the most expensive. And so peak shaving is if you can generate and store the electricity during the day when the sun's out, it's in the battery. And then rather than pull it off the grid, you're pulling it off the battery. It's cheaper as a supply. So you're not you're utilizing energy that's less expensive by not getting it from the grid, but getting it from the battery. So a year ago, I didn't know this. I've learned so much.
Thank you.
So, So any questions about that before we move on? It's a work in progress.
That sounds tantalizing.
Yeah, it could be really cool.
Yeah.
And it would just, in the big picture, it'd be so cool to be able to like provide a option besides lithium ion batteries, just to get away from that technology. So microgrids, Greg, that's you. You're a busy
Yeah,
man.
this will be a shorter update because not a whole lot has happened in July with this project. But most of what I have is following up from that meeting that the state put on and the people that I met there. So I have follow-ups to do with Richard Nathorst from Leverett to discuss his MLP project in Leverett. I have follow-ups with Bruce, like I mentioned, in Orange to go and check out his off-grid system that he built for the Orange municipal buildings. And just a couple of days ago, Gail saw that article from Darcy Dumont, who is the person who actually started the Amherst Energy and Climate Action Committee. And she's doing, I think you probably all saw that article. She's trying to get a meetup to discuss microgrids specifically for people in this region. So she already has a couple of people from Amherst doing that. I emailed her and introduced myself, and I'm going to be joining them at their next meeting. They didn't actually. She said Thursday, August 13th would probably be the date, but they didn't give me a time yet. So if anyone else wants to join, I'll let you know when I have a time. But August 13th is the date.
That would be cool. If you let us know. And if it looks like it's going to be a quorum, I'll post it. So just like if you're interested in going, just give me a heads up. Yeah, Darcy is also the person who started the Amherst, Pelham, Northampton CCA alternative. So she's a
Yes.
leader in this stuff.
She seems like a really knowledgeable person to have on hand and can help us figure out the right paths forward.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what to do with all the grants that are available and all the state support that we might need, which we're definitely going to need. Yeah, right now I just want to understand the sort of the technology landscape as well as a couple of the understanding the logistical decisions that a couple of other towns have made as well. I think I'll need to present this a little bit, maybe like collate my notes and give you guys an actual like slideshow or something. It'll help me as well to think about how I want to approach the problem. So put that on the calendar for next ECAC meeting, Michael.
Okay, so next one. Cool. I
Yeah.
can do that. And I just want to interject for Dean's benefit. Dean, as you're hearing all these different things, if there's something that sort of, is enticing and you say, oh, can I help with that? The answer is yes. Just figure out what you want to do and like you can tag team.
Thank
you. And it's definitely voluntary who's got interest and time to do this kind of stuff. So the last part is the Climate Leader Grant and planning. And Nate and I have been doing this a bunch. I don't know, Nate, do you want to fill everyone in on yesterday and et cetera?
I can put a couple of things on the table and then maybe like you can add to that. But when I was putting the minutes together for our last meeting, I realized that our conversation, Michael and I had talked to Ben Wheel, the director of Northampton's climate administrative structure, the day after we as a group had previously met. So when I sent out the minutes for our last meeting, I included at least a page of notes from that call, which was a pretty productive call. So I think I wanted to just start by like making sure everyone's like, this committee's like all coming along with that conversation. That was a really good talk that we had.
Uh-oh.
You're frozen.
Let's see if he comes back.
Go out and come back in if you can hear us.
It's always interesting to see who's moving to make sure you're not the frozen one.
Well, and his voice stopped right now.
Yeah,
Word.
he might come back. Well,
Yeah.
I will
Okay.
jump in while he's there, and I won't talk about the meeting with Ben. Um, to set the context for the other thing that Nate's going to talk about. So I think about 3 weeks ago, so we submitted the application for the TA grant to DOER. You guys know that. That was reported last meeting. And that was done, I believe, at the end of May. And then Zach, who is our new Western Mass point of contact for Green Communities, who took Chris Mason's place, reached out. And I think he might have included everyone. I can't remember, but he said, have you guys done a comprehensive building assessment? And I wrote back and said, I haven't heard of anything like that, and it wasn't part of the eligibility. And he said, well, we think it'd be really good if you did a CBA before you did the technical assistance grant. And so, yeah, that was my opinion. That's exactly, Gail. So me and Haley got on the phone with Zach, and then Mark Rubinski, who's the assistant director for Green Communities, who lives in Amherst. And the two things, I guess you said a few things. One was it wasn't a requirement for eligibility for the technical assistance. So it might be a good idea, but we're still eligible. And they explained what a CBA is, which is it's paid for by the utility. So in our case, National Grid. And National Grid has a whole stable of engineering firms that they tap to do a comprehensive building assessment on National Grid's dime. So I think part of what DOER was thinking was if they can do more engineering fact finding and have National Grid pay for it, then our technical assistance grant would go farther. So we agreed to that, I think, with 2 points raised. One was I was pretty insistent that, we don't go back to square one and have to reapply for a technical assistance grant. We did everything we were supposed to. So if they want to approve us with a condition, that's fine. But we're not going back to square one. So I think they were agreeable to that. And then DOER, Green Communities.
Okay. Yeah.
They heard us. I think they nodded. And then the other one was that we do an expedited process with the comprehensive building assessment. So we got hooked up with this guy, Mike Skinner, who's the National Grid contact, who then hooked us up with this engineering firm called RISE, which is based out of Providence. And according to National Grid, they're one of their best engineering firms. And Frank actually, from the Buildings Committee, tried to reach out to RISE last year for some stuff, and was mistakenly told they don't work with municipalities, but I guess they do work with municipalities through National Grid. So anyway, so we did our third site visit yesterday. It was Nate Hurd, Nate from the school committee, Frank, Stephen Dalmas, Matt Foster, who's the janitor, and I. And so that crew of people have did 2 other site visits. So we're all pretty familiar with the walkthrough. But the woman who came was great. He's back. He's probably on his phone. So I'll just finish the story and then we'll shift back to the Ben thing. Hey, Nate.
Welcome back.
Hey
Yeah.
there. So I'm just filling them in on the CBA from yesterday, and then we'll backtrack to Ben, if that makes sense. So, and haven't given them any substance of what Catherine said yesterday. But so we had a walkthrough of this woman, Catherine from RISE. It was like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Of the 3 site visits, I think there was consensus it was the most informative and helpful in terms of options. And with that, I will segue to Nate so he can go back to Ben and then lead up to where we were yesterday.
Sounds good. Yeah, sorry about dropping like that. But yeah, it was great to talk to Ben because he's worked directly with Brightcore which was one of the firms that had toured the elementary school with us. And he's like kind of a fire hose of information. So maybe I would just say the main takeaways from that conversation for me was that from a technical perspective, we may actually do better with an air source heat pump technology, which is to say that a ground source heat pump solution, may or may not be the best technical fit for what we are trying to promote for the elementary school. And if that proves to be the case, after we do a little more in-depth technical assessment of the envelope, the square footage, I guess it'd be the volume as well. If we do end up going in air source heat pump direction, it would be faster to implement and also probably along the lines of an order of magnitude less expensive to go that route. So it was a helpful conversation to kind of have us take a step back and be open to really a wide array of potential technical solutions to getting off fossil fuels at the elementary school. And then I'm not sure exactly when I dropped out, but I was trying to talk about Ben's background in financing these projects. So he oversaw an electrification at the Leeds Elementary School. And he's also on point for the Northampton High School is putting in a ground source heat pump system. And, there's this energy service contract organization, ESCO PATH, that is available through the state. And then there's a more standard procurement path that is basically what, as a small town, we're a little more familiar with in terms of putting together a request for information and proposals and the like, selecting vendors in that way. I found it very helpful for him to go through that. And he sort of was gently suggesting that a more traditional procurement path might be beneficial to us as a town. So, I don't know if Michael, you want to kind of jump in, but your main takeaways might be a little different from mine. But
No, I think they're the same. I guess where I would pick up was what was interesting. There's a request for proposals and there's a request for information or qualifications. And what he was suggesting we do is a request for qualifications, which Nate and Frank and Jeff Quackenbush and Nate from school committee, and I think that was it, met like 2 weeks ago to discuss what that might look like and what pathway might make sense. The cool thing about a request for qualifications is that you make the determination based on the match for what you need. So you put in a statement of qualifications, like what you're looking to achieve in terms of a technical solution and qualifications in terms of the vendor. And then you rate the vendors and their submissions based on those terms, as opposed to a request for proposals, which is always the lowest cost. So, and lowest cost we always, is problematic. So Ben strongly suggested the RFQ process. When we had our internal town meeting a few weeks ago, Jeff Quackenbush said that that's what they do at UMass all the time. Clearly at a different scale, but that's what they do. So you can screen out, you end up with up to three vendors that meet your qualifications. And then you invite the vendor that you want to submit a proposal. So you put together an RFP, and that's the opportunity for them to say, this is what we'll deliver at X cost. So it's a little bit of a two-step process, not, you know, Jeff Quackenbush would tell you that it'll take forever, but I think at our scale, it's probably a little quicker than that. But that seems like it makes sense in terms of how to proceed. And I did a little research so far on RFQs. I mean, my hope is that if we can get an RFQ in place based on the comprehensive building assessment that we just did. So the one thing that I guess, picking up from what Nate was talking about was at the end of yesterday, what was great about Catherine was we told her about the oil tank and the urgency of the timing and not wanting to sort of throw money after bad. And we told her about the coordination with the parking lot. And, you know, just sort of, she really got that we were looking at, you know, we wanted as many options so we could make a decision. And even in the air source heat pump department, she made a couple of recommendations. So you could have independent mini splits that are, you know, doing the heating cooling. You could have ones that are networked essentially. I think it's got a couple letters, but it's a similar thing, but you get a little bit more efficiency. The benefit of the independent mini splits is that we can keep the distribution pipes that we have now. And so there's less work and less bother for the school and for the students, and makes deployment easier. And I think there are one or two other things that she sort of pointed out. So she's supposed to get that report to us, the CBA, by mid to like third week of August before she goes on vacation. So we'll have that in hand, which will do two things. One is we can then show DOER that we did our CBA, so we can check that off. And then the other thing is that we'll have the options, which I think will help us then write, you know, we should have a conversation, some version of us, to figure out what's the technologies we're looking for, and then put that into the RFQ so that we're looking for a firm that can deliver that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking in the next month or two, we'll have data that we need for making a decision, and we can start the process. So when the state comes around and gives us our technical assistance grant, we'll have things in place to sort of start moving. And I think, you know, just in terms of the deployment timeline, the air source heat pumps would be quicker. You know, I think what we realized is if we did ground source, it wouldn't be until the summer of 2028. But with air source, depending on when we apply for the full Climate Leader $1 million grant and how we do that process, it could be sooner. It will definitely be less impactful. And then the last thing to note, because when Nate was saying the air source should be cheaper, we will have a lot more money to check off all the other stuff on the roadmap. So we could build canopies, you know, using the larger grant to offset the electric costs of the mini splits, for example. Greg?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, that kind of ties into the microgrid ideas. Like if we could build some, you know, some extra energy creation at the school and some storage.
Yeah.
If the ground, you know, if the air source heat pumps are 20% less efficient than the ground source or whatever, I don't know the actual number, but that's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket compared to stopping the use of gas. So I like that idea a lot.
Cool. So we will continue working on that one. And I mean, we've got a really good multi-committee working group at this point, because we've got buildings, ECAC, and school meeting regularly, and I'm looping Haley in. So when we get to the decision points, I think we're all talking to our various committees. We'll be able to sort of, you know, have a good informed process, and definitely highly collaborative. So, well, I'm going to shut up on this because just in terms of time, the other thing besides minutes was Gail wanted to talk to us about the website. And I don't know, Gail, do you want to share the screen? Is that the best way to do it, or?
No, I have to confess that I have not done what I promised to do.
Oh, okay.
So,
You want to tell us what your issue
my
was
intent
exactly?
was to revise the aggregation page to rather like news, we've got this, to here's how we got here. And then at the top of that would be the report from, who's he, what's,
Colonial.
Yeah,
Um,
CPG.
But I had several questions of the spreadsheet that they sent with the report, and I asked the questions and they answered them, and then I had some suggestions on formatting and labeling, et cetera, to make it internally consistent, and they did most of that, but put their heels in the sand on one point. And then I didn't hear back after that. So I confess and apologize to the committee. I may have offended Melissa, but I will protect that file. It's a 2-tab spread workbook, and it's quite nice. And I would put that up then, and this would be repeated quarterly. So we're early in the game. I mean, it'll look much better when there's a full year of quarters with backup and stuff. So we're just at the beginning, and they're a little short on what they can tell us, but because we haven't been there yet. So, but I can just keep putting the reports up.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. You also wanted to talk maybe for next month, if you can't articulate it now, like reformatting some of the pages the way they're presented. Does that ring a bell?
No?
Oh, okay. So it's just about the spreadsheet.
We were going to do FAQs differently, I think, but I think
I didn't look at the email
Nate,
that you
didn't we
sent.
do that?
Yes, we did update some of the language around
When Eversource came in,
collaboration.
yeah.
That's the last revision that I participated in.
So this is what you said. Yeah. I'd like to suggest an overhaul of our ECAC web pages. I'm sending specifics below so you can check out what's referenced. So it's remove the resources submenu altogether, add the decarbonization roadmap items on a submenu renamed ECAC energy actions taken, rewrite the CCA page narrative along the lines of where we are, the thing that you were just talking about.
Would you please send me that?
Of course.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah, basically, I think you wanted to mess with submenus instead of how we were reorganizing and presenting ourselves.
Yeah,
So I'll send it to everybody so everyone
Okay.
can all see it. So,
hold me accountable.
so if you want to just ponder that, we can just put it on the agenda for next time, or if
Okay.
there's stuff that seems like it's
Yep.
a no-brainer. I mean, my sense is the better we can explain to everybody what we're doing and get them on board. I mean,
Yep.
I'll just say, when I was talking to Mary Ann today, she just joined the CCA, and she was on one of these, shady deals that she couldn't figure out how to get off of. Her prices are half of what she was paying. She was thrilled. So that's
All
very
right.
cool. Yeah. So we're doing good.
So if we could do website updates at our next meeting, I'd be grateful.
Sure. Can do. I love it.
Works for me.
Okay. So we got minutes and next meeting. Greg.
Quick thing. It just popped into my mind while you were talking about the CCA stuff. Did anyone ever respond to Elizabeth Adams? We had an email on July 7th to ECAC, and I didn't see a follow-up. So
On what day
I
was
wanted
it?
to bring it up. And it was July 7th from Elizabeth Adams, eadams@umass.edu.
Let's see. Nate, you were shaking your head. Do you know if I'm trying to figure out if I did or not?
I did not see a response. I had read the message, and it seemed to me that in order to answer her question, we actually require a little more information from her. But yeah, I didn't want to. I'm glad, Greg, that you asked this, because I had like a more general question about how best to like field some of these questions that come in. There's also a student who is looking for people to interview, and she's interested in the sort of the European Union and their approach to it sounded like potentially like um, learning from what we're doing with aggregation. Um, but I didn't want to like. It's a little hard to know how to like field some of those questions. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Normally I think I tend to do it just as chair, and then if I, or field, shuffle it off to someone who knows better. With the one from Europe, I did respond to her. We set up a date, and then she canceled on me because she had like deadlines.
yeah,
So that was fine. But Greg, I'm happy actually to reach out to Elizabeth because I genuinely went on vacation the next day. So it's a very good reason for not having responded. Um,
Yeah.
I do, in terms of maybe Nate, if you want, I'll CC you on that so that we can tag team based on what the questions and answers are. Since you might be able to dig deeper once we do that, but I'll do that tonight just to get a sense. Greg, thank you very much. Responding to the emails is an important thing. I think we did have a flurry of people who had questions or issues around CCA, but only a handful. I think for the
Yeah,
most part, people,
it was pretty minimal actually.
yeah.
Really
Since
only
we're
a few
not sending
people.
out postcards, I don't think we're gonna get that many
People are
people.
paying
It's like,
attention. That's good news.
yeah, yeah, and we got a good product. So anyone want to move to approve the minutes of June 16th?
I will move to accept and approve the minutes of June 16th, 2026.
Okay, anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any conversations about that?
well, I drafted those minutes, and Gail provided a couple. She caught a couple of things, and there was like a knot that was missing. Um, but I didn't get any other feedback. Um,
I'll add one typo unless Gail caught
yeah.
it, which is in the Ben section.
Mhm.
It just said Ben will provided, so it's just an extra D.
Gotcha, D.
She got it. Yeah,
Okay.
she got that one too. That's one of the two.
Cool.
Um,
Great. Yeah, other than that, I think they were good. And
okay.
cool. So do the roll call to approve. Gail, how do you vote?
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
Nate,
Aye.
and I am an aye. The minutes are approved. Woohoo. So in terms of next meeting, I was thinking, given that we're the 28th, that we might want to look at either. Well, do you guys want to meet in August? You want to take a month off and be nice to ourselves? I can go either way. We've got momentum, I figure.
I want to
I
work.
could yeah, I could use the time. We could take August for other things because I'll have the stormwater committee meeting and I'm planning to do those follow-ups with those people I mentioned. And that'll give me some time to make that presentation I talked about so we can have something substantive to discuss next meeting. So I'm for August. Or I'm for skipping August, I mean.
September.
Okay, so you want to do September? I can go either way. Dean, Gail, do you have a preference? Nate?
I do not.
Okay.
August is tougher for me than September, so no objections to that.
Okay. Well, we can be nice. So I think let's see. Let me just hit it with the calendar. So September, Labor Day is the 7th, so I think the 8th would be bad. We could do the 15th or the 22nd. I mean, we could do the 1st actually if we wanted to. You want to do the September 1st? Is that sort of cheating? September 1st works?
Yep. That's for me.
Okay. Well, why
There's a
don't
thumbs up from
Hmm?
Dean. There's a thumbs up from Dean
okay,
and a
cool.
nod from Nate.
Yeah. Should work for me.
Okay, cool. So we'll do September 1st at 7 p.m. And we'll plan on whatever presentation Greg can pull together for microgrids, and we'll do website discussion in whatever way, Gail, you think is appropriate, and then we'll do updates, and if other stuff pops up, just let me know, and we'll go from there.
Great.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Awesome. I think,
September 1st, next meeting.
yeah. We're doing a lot, you all. So this is cool.
This is an action committee.
That's right.
Yeah, we should,
Go get them.
yeah. Okay. Well, have a good rest of the evening, and see you around.
Bon appetit.
I move to adjourn
Oh,
this
thank you.
meeting.
Oh,
Great. Oh,
yes,
look at
thank
that.
you.
Good man. Someone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, cool. We should have let Ashley Dean second, because then the two newest members would have caught the error.
There we go.
Okay.
We
Any
never stop.
discussion? That's right. Okay, assuming no discussion. Greg, how do you vote?
Aye.
Nate,
All right.
Gail,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Now we are adjourned, so we can go about our business.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you
See
soon.
y'all. Bye.